All right, I should be back and live for you guys. I don't know if the audio has been resolved, but we'll have that. We'll have the immediate effects of that apparent in a moment. Oh, look at all of you coming in as followers. Yeah, so for those of you who haven't figured it out already, I am a Mac streamer. This is a fairly unfortunate state of affairs for me. I am in grad school right now, so it looks like the audio's back, which is good. There was that CMF logo, by the way. But this is my school computer, which I do also occasionally use for gaming purposes. And it's a very good computer, but I do know that between my bandwidth and also the fact that it is still a laptop, it does occasionally run into some streaming difficulties like I had there. But yeah, so to Kane's question, I have played this before. So in this case here, I am reflecting a little bit on on things that I sort of already know from the game. But they are actually things that I don't think I've mentioned anything about the game that I didn't notice the first time around. And again, this is actually something we talked about on the original playthrough of Outlast, which was, I think, one of the ways that the game gets sold, the horror gets sold, is through creating as credible of an environment as they can for the events that happen into it. I mean, again, within boundaries. But actually, it looks like we didn't lose any progress, which is good. But yeah, as far as red barrels, I'm not entirely sure kind of what their status is as far as sort of a development firm is concerned. I know they're definitely a bunch of veterans in the industry, but I mean they are. This is their first game. I can't really consider them a large studio by any means. So this is also a little bit of a bucking the trend a bit in terms of the types of games that you expect. I don't know. I'm assuming they still count as an independent studio. But this is definitely quite a bit of a different sort of look that you would expect, right? This is a very good-looking game. And again, some of the horror is sold. I mean, this does... Oh, I lost audio again, it sounds like. Let me see if I can fix this inside. I'm really sorry about this, guys. I'm not quite sure why this is happening. Okay. I'm going to do save and exit one more time. And what I'm going to do for that, what I'm going to do next time is just make sure that I have the correct audio device plugged in. This definitely didn't happen in the original Outlast stream, but I can't see why the DLC would cause any specific problems. But it does give me a chance to talk a little bit about red barrels. So the this is a really good looking game. Some of the tension for me is sort of created through these believable environments. And am I going to be able to get by without turning off the stream again? I think I'll just sit and wait. But yeah, these well-realized environments, these well-realized characters. Again, you've got that doctor's face looking at you is the first thing that you see inside of this DLC. Really impressive looking. So this is also sort of bucking the trend a little bit in terms of a studio. Well, let's, I'll have it halfway and say a smaller studio, where you're not necessarily seeing some kind of like pixel art or sort of what you would normally associate with the indie aesthetic. But it's all in service towards this very specific story that they want to tell. So in some senses, you can actually sort of see common cause between Red Barrels and Frictional Games, Frictional Games being the group that makes Amnesia. And in this sense here, they are approaching this problem of storytelling from two very different angles. So in the case of Amnesia, actually the really thing that's interesting about Frictional is they've got several games that have been released. So you can sort of see from Penumbra to Amnesia and now to Soma, you can sort of see how they're thinking about creating these more narrative and experience focused sorts of games. And and sort of the benefit that we get as players from this kind of experimentation that they're doing. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think Penumbra is that good in some respects, but in other senses, I think it's actually really good in the fact that they took some chances on some ideas. Okay, let me just go to my options and make sure I don't have anything. Yeah, there aren't even audio options in here. All right, well, we'll do our best. And in the case of Red, so I mean, in Frictional's case, did I ever play Pathologic? If you can get over the fact it's an older game, I'll think I'll like it if I'm into horror. I'm definitely into horror, Kay, and I definitely think there's interesting things happening in this genre. But I'd never heard of Pathologic, so I'm definitely okay with older games. In fact, I was just about to say, so like Amnesia has its custom designed engine. It's by no means it's not a bad looking game, but it definitely shows its age. And I'll be honest with you, when you look at the monsters, they're not that frightening. Been thinking about getting Soma with some of your birthday money, but you're going to wait to see if any discount comes up during the winter sale. I'm in the exact same boat as UT Clark. I really want to try Soma, but not so much that I'm going to get it at the current sale price. Okay, so I'm losing audio at this part. What I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to walk through. I'm going to get past this moment. I'm going to get to sort of what I know the next set piece is. I'm going to try and fix it that way. Now, this is a bit of a shame. I mean, obviously, as people were saying, we were talking about the environment. They're selling you on how crazy this game is, right? There's boiling body parts. And they're introducing the first antagonist in a moment. So it's a little bit of a shame you don't get to hear him chowing down on people, but this is what we're up against. Yeah, and sure enough, there's some nastiness that you get hit with. So I'll read her note. Don't ask to see my body, Lisa. When I die, and when you finish the lawsuits that let you pry this footage from Murkoff's army of lawyers and corporate hitmen, don't make them show you my body. Just bury it, or burn it. Let my sons remember me whole. That man is eating human flesh. He looks at me and I see anger, a little desire, but more than anything, hunger. Please don't make them show you my body. So again, right, this is a nasty game. In fact, it raises some questions, right? In some senses, you can say, well, first-person shooters, why would anybody enjoy looking at... By the way, if you're wondering why I'm turning the night vision on and off so much, the battery in the top right-hand corner is really short. So sorry for the silence there. I'm told that my voice is an attractive feature of the stream, so I hope this will get you by while you can't hear the events. We do at least have subtitles on, or we should. Okay, well, there's normally a little bit of dialogue talking about two people, but this is the next checkpoint. So I'm going to operate on the hypothesis that it was specifically that corridor that was causing audio problems. If it wasn't, then that's a bit of a problem, and we're going to have to find something else to do. But again, we didn't have any problems with the original Outlast, so let's just assume that corridor just doesn't like my audio setup and that we're going to be able to get out of it. I'm probably going to have to force quit this again. I'll wait till I see the beach ball at least. Not a great start to streaming again, guys, I know. But it looks like we've leveled out in terms of the bodies that we've lost, so appreciate you hanging out. Just going to take a minute here, and while this is loading, just going to triple check rather, all of my audio settings, make sure I'm not missing anything obvious. No, it's all in order. Just double check there's nothing inside of properties that I'm missing. Don't have any weird launch options. I don't need the overlay, and I know that usually causes video issues. I don't see why that would. And this will probably take forever, so. What is the goal of the end game content, to find a way out and live? Yeah, I mean, so sorry, I all of these technical problems sort of are stepping on what I was trying to say in terms of. So I believe both Amnesia and Outlast, their primary goal is to just spin a good yarn. So the original Outlast, you're playing the journalist who was contacted by the guy you're playing in Whistleblower. This is the DLC to the game. So there's a main story in which you play this journalist who's originally going in to try and find out what this corporation Murkoff is doing. And you wind up trapped in the asylum, and you see all the horrible stuff that's going on in here. Now the DLC here is you're playing the Whistleblower, who you find out is captured by the corporation and sort of subjected to the treatment. And once the treatment goes wrong, sort of this is sort of happening in parallel now with the main story. But yeah, the end goal is ultimately to survive and get out. And both of these characters are motivated through telling the story. Although in this case, as you can see through the notes, Waylon is not under any illusions in terms of what his chances are for escape and survival. So yeah, it's I mean, it's definitely, it's not Fallout, right? There's no sprawling open world. It's a very linear story that you take. It's going to direct you towards particular moments. But what's really nice, I think the horror genre is so interesting, is that because you've got companies like Red Barrels and Frictional, who through their own means and through their own technologies are going to try and spin that yarn and try and take you on that journey. They're able to take it. So, I mean, I keep hearing linear as a pejorative, and I really don't like that fact. Like, Paradise Lost is an amazing piece of literature. I am a better person having read that poem. And if you haven't, do yourself the favor. It's one of the greatest achievements of any language and any author. It's also a linear story. Right? So it's very difficult to sort of say, oh, well, shame on them for telling a linear narrative. And I think what's neat about horror is because they are trying to provoke some very specific responses from you. They can take advantage of that. So it's.
You climb up. I'm coming, Cooper. I just have to lock the. There.
This looks like a game you'd play with the lights on. I actually have the lights off right now. The lights are off, and the volume is as loud as it can get for me, Ewok Beer. But yeah, so what's neat about this one is, it would be maybe interesting to see whether or not you could create a horror game in a more of an open environment. But of course, the linear style allows you to create moments where you see something shocking, see something horrible. Was that a cross on the wall? That definitely was a cross on the wall. So moments like that, right? And this is, I mean, if you'll notice, in terms of the game, we've not actually really had what we would consider to be the sort of the meat and potatoes of the Outlast experience, which is this figure hunting you, following some indeterminate path. All of the game so far has been running through these rooms and witnessing horrible things. I actually find this one of the more challenging problems to solve in this one. I always tend to do this quite poorly. So this is the cannibal that we saw earlier. Oh, damn it. He's going to go back through the wall. Or maybe not. Okay. Let's run for it. I also talk a little bit less during these segments because they are quite suspenseful, but also because I have a little bit of lag that I need to contend with. There we go. Another cross on the wall for those of you who are interested. Hey, Blood Gallade, how's it going? I will admit, so this guy's obviously very freaky when you first play this because you have no idea. Like, this is actually a really interesting thing that this game does to you is not every inmate is dangerous. So this guy, you're never quite sure where you stand. But yeah, there is a little bit of dark humor with this guy who's bandaged up and is missing a hand who tells you he has an itch. Another nice feature about the design of this is, you've got these hiding places in here. I really like the fact that they took the time to include hideable places. Now, I'll tell you right now that there's no reason for me to hide in any of these areas. This is something purely... Actually, I think I got a journal entry. Yeah, so I'll read that document in a section. There's no reason for me ever to need to go into those cabinets. This is a completely safe area in this level. But I've got this guy following me telling me that he needs to tell me a secret and that he has an itch. And I don't know when the cannibal's going to show up next. So these little features, again, they all do this nice... I think the one really nice thing that Outlast does, and I would argue it does it better than any other game, is it creates this sense of a credible threat throughout. So that rather than just having levels where there aren't a lot of hiding places, so you're safe... there's hiding places throughout. You don't know when you're going to need them. You don't know when you are. And so as a result, the intensity of this moment is maybe muted for me because I've played it once before. But when you're first playing it, you really don't know when you're going to have to be on your toes. Now, I also made the cannibal seem a little bit easier this time around because I got lucky in terms of his placement. But normally he's chasing me all over the place and I'm getting really frustrated. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, Blood Glade. I hope your back pain feels better soon. T. Clark doesn't think a horror game would work that well if they were more open. They designed it to elicit a certain emotional response, and to that end, the direct story and tight enclosed spaces serve that purpose very well. Your options are genuinely limited. Absolutely true, T. Clark. And this game actually uses that to its advantage in a moment which I won't reveal because I want it to be hopefully shocking to you when you guys see it. But on the other hand, the sense that you are responsible for your actions, and that, if you can credibly make it so that the danger can come from anywhere. So you would need to have some sort of predator or something like that, which is able to sort of stalk you in a credible way through a more open environment, could raise some possibilities for interesting suspense. But in my opinion, I think the linear way is the better way to go. And again, where Frictional and Red Barrels definitely seem to be making different kinds of games, I think both of them have this really nice narrative focus, and you can definitely see that the resources that they have, they've dedicated towards telling their kind of story very well. Red Barrels has done it through high graphical fidelity and sort of, again, like I said, this is not necessarily a very pleasant game to play, right? It's gross. It shows you horrible things. You're really, really stressed out when you're being hunted through these hallways. And Amnesia too, very unsettling atmosphere. You need to hide. You've got that grating. I mean, the sanity features were specifically designed to be as unpleasant to experience as possible and still make you want to keep playing the game. But we can talk about that as the game goes on. I'll read this. I'll read this point here. Oh, I got a new message, so I'll read that. Whoever sent that when the stream is done. Miss Grant, you may receive requests for information from Mrs. Lisa Park of Leadville, Colorado, in the coming weeks concerning the resignation and hospitalization of her husband, Waylon. If so, please forward them to my personal attention. This is from Jeremy Blair, the guy who we saw smash our laptop. Waylon Park, former consulting contract 8208. Oh, it wasn't 8203, 8208. Resigned due to previously undiagnosed mental illness. I have previously visited Mrs. Lisa Park and her sons and broke the news to them with a silver lining that Murkoff Psychiatric would be gracious in providing treatment. Mrs. Park had some less than charitable things to say about myself and the Murkoff Corporation. I assured her that with her power of attorney, she could try and fight the doctor's diagnoses of her husband's illness. However, if it were discovered that he resigned under false pretenses, his insurance would be cancelled and his family would be saddled with not insignificant healthcare debts. Hopefully she understood, but if she insists on making a nuisance of herself or tries to get around me, please let me know. This is one I want to take care of personally. Yours, Jeremy Blair. Sir Wedgie, how the devil are you? Thank you very much. It sort of sounds like you are a bit transient, so sorry we won't get a chance to have you here for a while, but it is always a great pleasure to see you inside of the channel. Guys, Sir Wedgie is one of Seriously Clara's mods. Seriously Clara is the owner and host of Team Panda, who Tony Laurent is also on. And if you guys have not stopped by Seriously Clara's... First of all, Seriously Clara is a wonderful streamer, but I would argue that you need to go to Seriously Clara's channel just to see the world's best mod, Sir Wedgie, do his thing. I consider it a great honor to be able to mod alongside him on occasions. So I know Clara's streaming right now, Wedgie, so yeah, you're watching over the boss lady at the moment. So I definitely appreciate your show of support. If she finishes a little bit early, I hope I get a chance to see you in here for a while. We will be going the whole way through Whistleblower. But if you're going to be turning in for the night once you're done, I wish you a good one, and we will catch up in Slack or something like that. All right. At the time of Mr. Show's termination, the psychosomatic effects of the morphogenic engine on female employees and patients had been well established. Already more than 7 female employees and patients had reached fictitious half-term pregnancies in a matter of weeks before miscarrying the non-existent children, 5 of them fatally. Female employees were moved to higher floors in the facility and then to other buildings and eventually off the Mount Massive facility. The critical secrecy of Project Valrider necessitated secrecy in the motivating factor for the reassignments and terminations, resulting in perceived injustice from several terminated parties. Ms. Cho has succeeded in acquiring court-ordered FOIA release, Freedom of Information Act documents surrounding her termination. Those documents will need to be generated and post-dated, providing ameliorating information while skirting the relevant secrecies of the project. Please advise. Ethan Skrisankandra, consultant MM214. So this is an interesting point. I believe somebody made a point. I mean, this is gender in gaming is actually a reasonably worthwhile topic, but at some points I feel that the issue is maybe pushed a little too hard. And so one thing that people pointed out was that, you know, where are all the women in Outlast? Now, I would argue that maybe, you know, terrible things happening to a female protagonist is maybe a trope that we wouldn't want to see in a game like this. But, you know, it does raise a question. And so I feel that this particular document is actually to specifically speak to the people who, you know, who raised that objection. You know, I may be a little insensitive to the issue in saying that. I almost forgot. Oh, God. Well, forgot about that. Yeah, what about children? Hey, Mecha Fanboy, it's great to see you again too. By the way, guys, I know I've not been streaming consistently for a while, so it's always so wonderful to see all of the old faces coming back. That means a lot to me, guys. So thanks a lot. What evils are we talking about today? Well, in this case, I was talking a little bit about how there's a memo inside here that sort of seems to be specifically geared towards addressing sort of this, you know, this brigade that will always sort of raise a gender issue in a game. And by the way, when I say that, that does not mean that there are not legitimate issues to be talked about. But I would say, you know, where are all the women in Outlast is maybe not necessarily where we want to go with this, just because, again, there's no... I mean, you can sort of see the counterfactual of that, right? you have a female protagonist who is put through the ringer like Miles Upshur, and is like, oh, of course, these gamers just like getting their jollies off seeing terrible things happen to a woman. There's no winning in that argument, unfortunately, sometimes. So in this case here, the perspective that I would take is that the developers decided that they wanted to make a game in which there was a male protagonist, and in this case here, especially because there's pretty nasty stuff that happens in the game, they decided that most of the patients, inmates, would be male. I don't know the incarceration rates in terms of male and female prisoners, or in terms of asylums. I don't know if they normally separate them by sex. I think they do. But in this case, I just accept this is the story that they wrote, and I'm going to play it. This is a great little moment. Hey, Kite260, thanks a lot for stopping by and showing your support. I definitely appreciate it's getting a little bit late, so sorry we can't see you here longer. But as always, guys, Kite is a fellow streamer on Team Panda. Wonderful guy. Absolutely one of the nicest personalities that I've seen. And I know I was just singing the praises of Wedgie, but I do definitely mean it when I say that Kite definitely also merits your attention. And he's somebody that you get a chance to quite regularly see on Twitch. In fact, I believe you were just streaming not too long ago yourself. So, guys, if you can, I strongly recommend Kite. He is a much better person than I, and he's also a very gifted streamer who I think is worthy of your attention. Definitely a different style from mine, but that is definitely not a bad thing at all. I tremendously enjoy watching his stream when I get a chance. All right, Mecha Fanboy, I'm really happy that you got to see the beginner's guide. I'm sorry I didn't have a little bit more to say about that. One of the problems that I run into with games like that is that I don't want to speak over the narrator. It's actually why I stopped playing Transistor. But that's actually really good feedback to get. I'm going to try and come up with a better way to give more commentary to that one. Oh, hey, buddy. But yeah, so the oven moment, I think, or incinerator, whatever it is a great little moment. So again, remember how we're talking about how you're trying to communicate these physical things happening to the character, in this case, the morphogenic engine therapy, or here, burning. They do this nice job of, making your damage meter raise slowly. So you really want to just pound your way out of that, that oven, as you would if you were in fact thrown into a furnace. So again, they sort of do this nice job of making you sort of feel the heat, in addition to, a terrifying moment where a guy just comes out and, and jumps on you. But they do this really wonderful moment. They do a nice job of just sort of bringing you close enough to dying in the game that you're like, oh god, am I really going to make it? Even though you sort of know that you're supposed to be able to get out of this scenario. And you like, to me at least, I could definitely sort of feel the temperature in there. It was definitely a really successful moment to me. So Drift King 313, I don't believe I've seen you here before. Good to see you. How's it going? And your thought was, in the first Outlast, there was quite clearly a women's ward, so obviously there were women. Absolutely. And it was locked off to us. You just figured the women were smart enough to escape, and the guys were too stupid to leave, and you thought they couldn't fight off any threats. Yeah, like, this is the big thing, is like, I don't feel the need to sort of genuflect to the to one sex or the other, in terms of saying, women are inherently smarter than men, men are inherently smarter than women. Clearly both are human beings and are capable of, of equal behavior. I believe in the end, most of the gender issues raised are trying to communicate that point. So I have no argument there whatsoever. But again, in this case here, I can definitely say that there are more examples of horror games treating women in an exploitative way. And I feel that if we were to take the counterfactual, if we were to take sort of the women in Outlast version that I think is implied by that note, then I just think we would be opening it up to another set of criticisms. It's kind of like, I remember somebody raising an issue in The Last of Us saying. It's like, well, I don't see why this character needed to be male. And then I'm like, well, somebody just turns around and says like, oh yeah, typical female story. She has to protect her daughter because that's all that mothers do, right? Whereas in contrast, you can say The Last of Us is like, how many times do you see a single dad as a protagonist? And that's a very mature story that gets told. So in this sense here, I will definitely say that I don't feel that people should sweep gender issues under the rug. That would be the wrong approach. But I do also think that we should accept these games as the developers made them, rather than maybe trying to take a pet issue and trying to flog it as much as we can. So I hope that is as moderate as I like to think I am on these issues, rather than coming off as as a little too entitled or insensitive to it. Sorry for derailing slightly, but you like the way you stop and try to explain my thought process behind what was trying to be said, regardless of whether or not it was true. So you're interested to see if you had any interesting commentary. That said, I do think in the case of that specific game, so much of the game is linear narrative that unless you want to read too heavily into everything that is said throughout the game, I don't see any new perspectives emerging. Long story short, I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel or anything along those lines. If those anomalies come along. Hey, Favo137, how's it going? Lots of new people in here, actually. So, DriftKing313 and Favo137. It's always great to have you inside here. I apologize for the quality of the stream. I'm operating on a laptop with a very low bandwidth, so this is probably not going to be the best-looking Outlast stream, but hopefully the game is less terrifying for you for going through that. So, don't sweep gender issues under the rug, men. Don't sweep. Just kidding. Yeah. See, I was going to say, that's the... Okay, another good thing that Outlast does, selling you on the noise. Audio is, I mean, this is so easy to say about horror stuff, right? Audio being so important. But it really does sell it here, right? Whether you hear Chris Walker's chains, or in this case here, the sound of that saw blade, does such a good job of just selling you and immediately raising that tension as soon as you get inside there. Captain Jaffa, yes, finally we have somebody playing. No apologies needed. You're actually playing. Well, I mean, sometimes I stop for some system talk, Captain Jaffa, but I'll do my best to. I can never remember where I need to go here, and I've got a maniac chasing me, so I think this is where we reload the battery. Last stream was just some guy kept begging for money because the game was too scary. That must be a nice job. Yeah, there's no begging for money here, Captain Jaffa. One of the best things that you can do for this stream is just hanging out, being pleasant to be with. Some people do that through actively participating in chat, which is great for me because I love getting people's perspectives. And by the way, I apologize, Mecha Fanboy. I did have more that I wanted to say about the beginner's guide. But, some people talk, and that's great for me. Oh, Jesus Christ! Run for your life, buddy! I'm fucked. Yeah, I kind of boned that one. Yeah, some people... Ah, God, okay. Oh, am I gonna die again? Yeah. This is definitely where I'm suffering a little bit from the little micro lags. Yeah, inmate didn't like ignoring me for chat. Let's see if I can. Yeah, he's always gonna get a free hit on me, I think. There has to be. Oh, there we go. It's a nice little moment, though, actually. I never realized that he was just kind of automatically generated. Alright. And even though he's about as skinny as I am in real life, he's not going to be able to make it through there, which is good for me. Okay, so, what I was going to say. For some people, that's going to be...
What do you see? Who am I? You idiot! There!
For some people, that's going to be talking in chat, interacting, which is absolutely fantastic for me because I love interacting with you guys. Some people, it's just sitting there and watching. And I know some people say don't worry about viewers, and I never do. I'm going to be here. I'm going to play the game and talk about it as best as I can. I'm obviously taking a little bit of a break now just because I can. I'll read this note in a second. But for me, just having a body in here, seeing those follows, Favo137 and Captain Jaffa, thank you very much for the show of support there. Whether you want to show that support through hanging out, whether you want to show that through, through interacting in chat, and again, the monetary donations are a purely voluntary element here. The story of this game is not going to be, okay, you've gotten 5 minutes of content, pay up, bitches. I think this is about sharing my favorite games with you guys. So sounds like you guys already know Outlast, so I'm going to be talking quite a bit about sort of my second or third impressions about the game, things that I think make it work well. And I definitely love some feedback from you guys in terms of... Definitely like some feedback from you guys in terms of the interaction. And no, Captain Jaffa, I've actually beaten this DLC twice, although I certainly haven't died at that particular moment. This game is about torturing people, enjoying the commentary. Great. Bloodshade, hey, how's it going? Good to see you again. Chalk commentary is amazing to listen. I don't know about that far. Mega fan by Darth Geezer. Mostly like to lurk and watch. Well, that's great, actually. I wasn't sure if you had hung around with Tony's raid, so I really appreciate that. That's a big show of support. Because I know Tony is very good at getting people to do what she wants, but when she isn't hanging out, I don't know how many people hang out after those raids. So great to see you inside here. Don't worry about numbers because creatives will always be bigger than... Yeah, I mean... Like I said, it's I'm just happy to see something other than Fallout 4. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a Mac streamer, right? So I'm not going to be able to stream Fallout 4 anyway. But yeah, I mean, the big thing here is that I don't think it's good to ignore the numbers because in the end, that is people telling you what they want to see. So if that number is bigger rather than smaller, that means that there's something that is appealing to somebody. But that said, I never want to chase the number, if that makes sense. So again, if somebody's lurking in chat, that means something to me, right? There's other places that people can be. And I never ever want to forget that. So thanks a lot, guys. Fallout 4 kind of amused me the first day. It was nothing but Fallout 4 considering the initial hype, gone from 100% to about 50%. I think that's also people realizing that people aren't showing up because obviously you have sort of your favorite stream to watch Fallout 4 for, and then you get tired of the other ones. It's like when Binding of Isaac came out. All right. Excerpt from the recordings of Dr. Bruce Newhouse, MD, employed by Mount Massive Hospital, 1958 to 1965. Father Clock, far be it from me to lie to a man of God, so let me at least say that I will do my personal best to improve the safety of your working conditions. I and the rest of the staff truly appreciate everything that you do for our patients, and if you feel threatened by anybody in particular, simply let us know and we can either increase chemical restraints or administer a lobotomy or similar calming procedure. Don't underestimate the contribution your sermons offer other patients, especially considering the depth and necessarily chaotic nature of hypnotherapy. Our patients need the bedrocks of God and family. Not all of our poor unfortunates have family to call upon, and so the burden and calling is yours. We are all of us relying on your faith and hard work. DBNR, Dr. Newhouse, MD. Now, I'm not entirely sure where this fits into the overall story. Certainly the priest was... Oh, and we also had a note from the drowning guy. Lisa, or whoever finds this, know that Murkoff is making monsters. I'd never seen the patients after they'd gone through that German so-called therapy, the engine. So much worse than I could have imagined. They may still be human, but something's been ripped out of them, and too many other things pushed back in. They were not all murderers. They were sick, but they weren't killers. Murkoff made them monsters. Dr. Rosett said that the engine had varying effects, the variant outcomes too erratic for any sort of prediction. I took it as idle cafeteria small talk. Rawls' endless chatter. I should have listened. Probably true, especially since thanks to DMCA, some casters were allowed to play it significantly early. Oh, wow. I did not know that some people were streaming it earlier. That's a bit unfortunate for some. Your thing is you prefer smaller streams over big-time streamers. It makes it more personal and fun when the streamer can actually interact with viewers. Yeah, I'm actually the same too, Captain Jaffa. So I don't mean to be too mercenary about this, but I am actually on a stream team called Team Panda, which is hosted by Seriously Clara, who is streaming right now. And if you like streams like that, this stream team is specifically built around streams of a similar feel rather than a rather than say, numbers or something like that. So if you are looking for other forms of entertainment, I'm in grad school right now, so my streaming schedule has been pretty inconsistent lately. But if you are looking for streams of that kind of flavor, I definitely recommend clicking that Team Panda link just beside my. Wah! Forgot about that jump. But if you click that Team Panda link, you might find something that you like as well. Like I said, I don't like being too mercenary about this stuff, but especially in my own case, because I'm not as consistent in terms of streaming as I would like to be. I think the next best thing that I can do is try and point people to the places that I go when I'm looking for entertainment. I also am completely lost on where I'm supposed to be going now. I think it's up somewhere, but I got turned around because I was looking at chat. So just take a quick moment and go through here. Spoil might be a bit of a strong word, but you're not sure what would fit. Yeah, so that's fair. Talking about Fallout 4. Fallout 4 looks good enough, but when you mod for a channel that's streaming nothing but Fallout 4, when they don't want any spoilers or backseating, one gets stuck watching a whole lot of Fallout 4. Yeah, that's fair, T. Clark. I feel you for that. I'm very happy that Claire is not streaming Fallout 4 personally, just so I don't need to deal with that. Miss Cupcake, great to see you again. Not Outlast, Runs and Hides. Oh, Miss Cupcake, I'll try and make it as boring as possible for you. You're like half zombie then. Don't worry, Chalk. We'll explain to you exactly why the game isn't scary and remove all the fun from the game. Absolutely. Mecha Fanboy knows what I'm all about. We'll protect you, Kate. Shuddering in fear. Already been traumatized and feel free. Yeah. All right. So let's find our way to the... Oh, here we go. So there is going to be another little sequence coming up. Is this the right way? No, this has to be. There's going to be another little sequence coming up, I think. So while I'm doing this, if anybody's in chat, obviously there's been a couple of people who are watching Outlast specifically because it's Outlast. I'd love to get some opinions from chat, either if you haven't seen this game before, what your impressions are of it, or if you're somebody who's watching specifically because of Outlast, what makes you like this game? What you think is great about it? And maybe specifically why you're watching it as opposed to playing it for yourself. Because I get a lot out of... I mean, obviously you got to see me jump a little bit when that guy came running up onto the door. But I've never really had the experience of watching somebody play it except Pyrian Flax, who's really funny. So I'd love to get some opinions in terms of why people watch games like this. Drift King 313, I've never actually played Fear, so I think somebody else in chat might be able to answer that for you, but I am useless to you in that regard. Did I concentrate? Oh, Bloodshade. I'm not actually a Berkeley computer science character. This is the character Waylon Park graduated from Berkeley cum laude, but apparently is too stupid to think. Is not smart enough to know that the last thing a fly should do is move in the spider's web. It's a little bit of character information that Jeremy Blair. I didn't even minor in computer science. I TA'd a few courses in computer science. I took some courses in computer science, but I'm actually an economics major. Don't usually terrified of scary games. You dislike horror games and movies. You just like my streams. Oh man, Miss Cupcake, this is going to be quite the ordeal for you then. I think this is a really good game though, so. Chalky's lying to... I don't have a CS degree. All right, influencing human behavior. The potential use of psychochemicals in political action operations is well recognized, though it has not been explored as thoroughly as it might have been expected. Chemical division includes... it is an objective of its program to be prepared to support or make such operations possible. Non-chemical methods of accomplishing political action operations are also included in the program. Note, J. Lawler, April 15th, 1958, present the above MKUltra excerpt to Technical Services Division for budgeting and authorization of continued research into research of Dr. Rudolf Wernicke, Asset 14866, and Project Valrider. Autopsy recovered test subjects shows chemical content of bodies, metallic tumors, evidence of subdermal combustion that indicates heavy psychochemical dosage. Watching it because A, it's not Fallout, B, you love Fallout games, but don't have this one, you enjoy watching it, and D, it's not Fallout 4. Kind of feel like you're missing a number. I'm probably missing a number. All right, I got turned around again. Yeah, even though this is not my first time playing it, I'm screwing it up pretty bad. Oh, I remember this. This is a neat moment. So again, in terms of just setting up situations for you, this guy's just banging his head on a door, right? Absolutely no threat, but it's dark, so you're going to have your night vision on. You open it, you get those terrifying eyes that you always see through night vision, both in real life and this game. And you don't know, right? Like, this is a great job that the game does of always creating a credible threat to you. So these moments are less intense for me because I've already played the game before. But again, you look at stuff like this where, you know, you've got a hiding spot. If you play this game the first time around, you don't know if you're going to need to use these or not, right? So any room that you go in could have a potential threat. You're sad because your back hurts, your phone is now possessed, you don't know why everybody else is. This cupcake is a long laundry list of non-spoilery upsets. Captain Jaffa, I'm just doing this because I know something's going to happen in a moment. So, nice question. You love playing this game. The first time it was scary. As for watching, you want to see other people's reaction, whether they like to be scared or find it dull. You've seen so many people just speedrun and destroy the game, and now you're watching this one with commentary, and that's new to you. You're probably enjoying this the most since you're getting some nice in-depth analysis of the game. I appreciate you saying that, Captain Jaffa. You're always going to get on my side by stroking my ego. Mecha Fanboy said because Chalky is lying. Swear to God, Chalky, if we make you throw your phone. Don't know, like watching horror games in general with or without face cam because you tend to get too nervous to play horror games in general. If you're in control of the character. Lil Bev24, I don't believe I've said hi to you tonight. You've got over 200 hours of gameplay in Outlast. Man, and I thought my 24 hours was excessive. The game has replayability. Agree with that completely, 100%. Not full of jump scares. The mixture of music and atmosphere creates tension and can keep you on the edge, and you never know when you're in danger. Absolutely right, Lil Bev. In fact, with a stream delay, you're probably listening to me say that right now. Well, obviously in the past when you hear this. But couldn't agree with you more. I think that's a wonderful feature of this game. So, because you like playing horror games and watching it, broken pair of headphones by a horror game. All right, guys. So, let's move on. I don't want the commentary to become too distracting. Oh, did I just go in a big circle? Nope, this is definitely not a circle. I just don't remember where I'm supposed to go here. I will say one thing that feels a little artificial in the hard mode. Well, I mean, in the game in general is just how how short the battery life is. But the fact that you can only carry 2 of them when they're so small never quite sat right with me in hard mode. Like, I understand it increases the challenge. Oh, we lost sound again, didn't we? Oh, no. Good, we're good. But it struck me as a little bit more of an annoyance rather than a source of fear. I've never really run out of batteries. I don't know. Actually, maybe I should be careful about that, because definitely conserving energy has become a priority for me. So it's funny because so many people jump at the screen when it pops up. Storytime, you once got jump scared in Minecraft by a friend and Herobrine, so you threw my headphones and they broke badly. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Miss Cupcake. Alright guys, I'm probably not going to be able to pay attention to chat.
I can smell you.
Run, fucker! This is actually a terrible spot to hide. I have no idea how I'm going to be able to see where he is. There's a little too much light in here. Do I smell or where did that come from? So again, for those of you who didn't see the original Outlast, this is actually kind of a neat thing about the DLC. Is the canonical Outlast experience of like being hunted by something is a little more absent. Is it just the case that the cannibal doesn't... Maybe it's just that he doesn't follow you past that sort of barricade. This is going to be a problem, though. Especially because I don't know where he is. But you'll notice there's a little bit of an absence in terms of the kind of moments like this. Which is interesting because, I mean, I think in some ways I almost prefer... Oh, he's here. Oh, fuck. Jesus Christ. This actually, okay, so I'm saying that... Oh, God. Wow, I couldn't remember that scenario at all. That was actually really tense. So yeah, I'm busy talking about how, you know, this hunting moment is not as present as in the main game on here, but you can really see for its scarcity, it works. And it does this really wonderful job, right? Like as soon as you think you're safe, well, no, he's actually banging on the door behind you. So that was genuine and rarely seen chalk fear. Oh, he says you can smell it. I'm sorry, Miss Cupcake. The delay was a little off for me, or I just wasn't paying attention. The lack of Here's Johnny disturbs you. You know what? I think we'll just lose the rest of the battery there. And yes, there's a little bit less commentary going on right now because I'm terrified. All right, Murkoff Psychiatric Systems, Project Valrider, Mount Massives, Colorado, case number 209, Frank Antonio Minera. Consultation dated 2012-08-29, initial date of patient consult 2010-11-01, patient age 36, gender male, observing physician, Dr. Carl Houston, DBNR. Therapy status. Minimal morphogenic engine activity, and only at extreme, stages 5 and 6, levels of hormone therapy. Dream states return repeatedly to the images of isolation and betrayal. Zero lucid state. Diagnostics. Heavy bronchial accumulation consistent with patients with histories of tobacco and marijuana. Exceptionally low REM activity. Interview notes. At the time of the interview, Frank was down to 155 pounds from his admission weight of 228. He was lethargic and largely non-responsive, exhibiting interest only in the hypnotherapy script pattern 9, Wernicke, concerning a man drinking blood from the chest of sleeping men. He continues to refuse baths or the attention of a barber outside of general anesthesia, stating, "If I cannot partake, I cannot share." Recommended forced nutrition for Mr. Minera if we cannot find something he likes to eat. Murkoff Psychiatric Systems, Project Walrider, Mount Massive, CO. This is really